Good morning. I'm Karen.
I'm Kathryn, and you are listening to Coffee with Milk. Should I go first with coffee today? We've got a
I think you
coffee.
should.
We got a coffee as big as our head today. It's been a
Love the
weekend.
cup. I love the color of the cup.
Speaking like of my cup, my husband got it. Speaking of our podcast
Oh,
today, love languages and stuff, my husband got it for me.
good job, Adam.
I'll say
I like
right.
coffee cups too.
If you want to get your mom a coffee cup,
I'm not a gallon size though.
you can get I'll send this directly to Mr. Peppers.
Okay, yeah, send him a link.
I'd be like, here you go. Just I'll clip it and specifically send that to him. Be like, in case you wanted to know what to get
Look
Karen.
what Adam got, Catherine.
But say it's just a nice caramel macchiato, just the OG girly in my big old head-sized cup because I've had a
Mm.
very long weekend and I just needed a very big pick me up. So yeah.
Now,
Well,
see, I wish I could make that or knew how to make that at home or had the ingredients to make it. And maybe it's not hard, but whenever I'm out doing a little shopping or whatever by myself, which I do regularly,
mhm.
um, since Bethany left me. It's okay, Bethany, I still love you. But I had to go to Marshall's and Target by myself yesterday.
Oh.
Um, I know, right? So I got went to Starbucks and got an iced caramel macchiato, and I asked them to
Mhm.
make it with almond milk because milk doesn't like me, and it had gave it a little bit different flavor, but it was really good. So,
Mhm.
but I don't usually make those kind of
Mhm.
more detailed or more, involves more
Say
ingredients kind of
involved.
drinks at home.
Mhm.
I need to get better at that because obviously it's much less expensive to make it ourselves.
Yeah, it tends to be
Today,
a lot more.
I have my same little iced coffee cup. Now, I have two cups for in the same style. The other one
Mhm.
I have just has my name on it that my friend Lazel at work gave me for Christmas.
That's
But Jacob
cute.
keeps jacking it from me, so it's probably in his room right now. But this is my honeybee glass. You've seen it before. Um,
It's so
I have so I made a pot of coffee this morning. I already had my
cute.
first cup, and it was the chock full of nuts. And I had some
Ooh.
left, so I iced it and put a little bit
Mhm.
more of my Stoke iced coffee in there. And yesterday at Marshall's, I got it's called Mexican cinnamon flavor. It's sugar free, very good. Highly
Ooh.
recommend. So I put that in there, and then I have
Mhm.
Chobani um,
I love Chobani.
hazelnut.
I
Me too.
saw that at Target. Is that good?
Okay. I like it.
Do
I got mine
you?
at Kroger, I think. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Cause
excellent.
it was literally there was only one left, and I was like, I'm tempted.
There was only one left at Kroger. It was literally one
One
Chobani because
left.
they were on sale. So there was one. And I was like, I hope there's nothing wrong with this. But
Right.
so far, I'm still here. So it must have been okay. But
Right.
yeah, that's what I got today.
I say, I
Cheers.
think the only reason it's frustrating. So my husband's allergic to tree nuts, like almonds,
Mm-hmm.
hazelnuts, all those kinds. So it's a little harder
Yeah.
to get stuff like that because it's like I'm the only one who can drink
Mm-hmm.
it. And so it's kind of like, oh, do I risk it and buy it? Like, it's like, do I? What if I hate it? And then it's kind of like,
Right.
now I've got
True.
right. It's like now I got this whole creamer
Mm-hmm.
that neither one of us can
I
drink.
know. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just get a little sample? I wish so
Yeah,
many things came with the sample. How do I
right,
know? Once I've invested,
right.
um,
Like I know it's
I don't
mostly
know.
for the money, but like I think like smaller, like little ones, especially for
Mm-hmm.
traveling too. Like it would be such a good like
Good point.
Chobani would make a lot of money if they did travel size
Mm-hmm.
creamers because of people
Wouldn't
who
they
travel
though?
all the time. But
I like that.
Chobani,
Listen to us,
call
Chobani,
us,
and sponsor us.
sponsor
We
us,
love your
call
products.
us. We will do everything.
We will sing your praises. We
We
will
love
anyway,
Chobani. I
but
say, oh, I love Chobani. Chobani's like the only creamer we have in this household.
yeah, I do love it. I love my nut pods too, but love me some Chobani.
Let me get you, Bonnie. But
Yeah.
so today's topic is I had previously mentioned not even like 5 minutes ago about love languages.
Mhm.
Valentine's Day is literally this Wednesday.
It is
um,
for anyone that needs
yesterday.
a reminder.
I was say, well, yesterday is Valentine's Day, technically, when this podcast episode goes up. So I hope you guys had a great
Right.
Valentine's Day. I hope you
Right.
guys
Yeah.
celebrated with your loved ones. Keep in mind, Valentine's Day is not just about romantic love. It can be love about.
Mhm.
I posted a picture on Instagram like years ago, and I was like, the best kind of Valentine's love is self love, and I still stand by that.
Oh yeah.
I'll
Yep.
say.
And I'm actually going to be talking about that a little bit today too.
say yes, no, Valentine's Day is not just a romantic kind of love. You can be with your friends,
Mhm.
family,
Mhm.
yourself. Love is
Mhm.
love, and that's that. I say Valentine's
That's right.
Day usually it's a lot of like representations of like different beliefs and stuff. I know
Mhm.
Valentine's Day kind of originated in multiple different ways. Some people thought it like was the example of like spring finally coming into play,
Oh.
or the celebration of Saint Valentine, like that whole
Mhm.
situation. Like it just Valentine's Day had a lot of different representations, but I think many of us kind of typically know it for love,
Yeah.
being
Some
in
people
love.
some people call it the Hallmark holiday. They feel like it's just something made up to get the people to spend money
Mm,
on
yeah.
cards and flowers and candy and all those kind of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Um, and and those things are great. As you know, if Mike, if you want to get me any of those, I'm good with that. And he usually does. That's probably what I'll get, and that will be fantastic. I will love it. Um, but it can be so much more than that. So yeah,
Absolutely.
make it personable and
Mhm.
special for people that you love. When Adam
Absolutely.
was second or third grade, I think third grade, my sister and we were kind of the room mothers, and we planned a Valentine's party, and
Oh.
it was
Mhm.
about our theme was kind of like brotherly love, like
Mhm.
loving one another as opposed to boyfriend, girlfriendy,
Yeah.
that kind of love. Because when you're in third grade, that's probably not what you're thinking about a whole
That's
lot
something you
anyway.
shouldn't be thinking
Yeah,
about for
right, right.
sure.
And if you remember Kathryn's story from last week at her Christmas party, that was not how third graders were not showing love.
Yeah.
They were picking on each other and embarrassing one
Absolutely.
another. So, um, but it was really fun. We played a
Yeah.
lot of fun games, and it's good to just
Yeah.
express your love for those that are special to you.
Absolutely, I say my dad and I didn't have always have the best relationship growing up, but he always made sure to get me flowers on Valentine's Day because his specific line was always like, "I'm getting you these until you meet someone special enough to
Oh,
remember to get you these every Valentine's Day." And what do you
that's
know?
what
I
I say.
did because my husband does it every year. So
Ah, he's the best.
he's so cute. He was so our
Hmm.
Valentine's Day is looking a little different this year because it's in the middle of a work week
I know,
and
right?
it's a little harder to like get out and do things. So we're
Hmm.
having like
And every restaurant's packed.
it is. So he actually made reservations for a nice restaurant on Friday for us to go, but we're doing it at
Good
home,
job,
like
Adam.
cleaning and like not cleaning, cooking and like hang out and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
he was like, "I'm still gonna get you flowers on Valentine's Day," and I was like, "Thank you."
Aw, what a good guy. I started calling him what a good baby boy because he is my baby boy, but he's almost 31, so
So he will
he's
be
not
31
not a
in
baby.
how
He will
many
always
months?
be my baby. Yeah,
That's
it's
yeah, I think
true.
that's kind of how it is for a lot of moms. Like I'll be
Yeah.
26 like on Wednesday it'll be 2 months before I'll be 20 like 26 on Wednesday will be the 2 month mark and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna be 26 in 2 months. Help."
Yeah.
Send
Yeah.
help. But I'll say yes. So a lot of us typically know Valentine's Day to be a multitude of different forms of love, different types of love. I know it's
Mhm.
usually represented in the more of the romantic aspect, but you can definitely
Mhm.
love people in any way, anyhow.
Absolutely.
I say, I know it's just I can't believe it's like our fifth Valentine's Day together.
Aw,
um,
that's so sweet.
I say actually one of my best friends will be celebrating and did their dating anniversary because they started dating on Valentine's Day.
Wow, now I would love to hear that story. Was it awkward or was
Yes, we
it
were still teenagers. It would be
okay?
Sophie and Brady.
Mhm.
I'll say, we were still teenagers, awkward as could be. There's still their own cute way of awkwardness. It's just a special day for them. I feel like,
Well, that's so cute. I love that.
right? I know that's such a cliche. I feel like that's such a like. I feel like people think that's such a cliche thing though, because it's like you're dating
We
on
had our
Valentine's,
first date on
but
Valentine's
that's
Day.
still so cute. Like
But look
like
at them now,
right,
like,
married and three
yeah,
kids, like they're killing it.
right? Yeah, obviously it worked. It worked for
Let's
them.
say Valentine's Day
Um,
clearly worked for them.
yeah, good for them. So
Absolutely.
happy anniversary, dating anniversary
Dating
to
anniversary.
Sophie and Brady.
Hello,
And
Olive. I
our little
love you,
camera
stinker
queen.
girl. Oh my gosh.
Hmm
She knows. Espresso's behind the
I,
mattress now. I don't know why. So,
um, one of us almost died. One day this week, I think it was Thursday. I was walking out of my bedroom. Bless you.
thank you. I
And
was like,
she was running into my bedroom and we got tangled up.
oh
And
no.
I had like these like booties, winter boots with like a chunky heel
Mm-hmm.
on them. I was doing everything in my power to not step on her, but she was just intertwined in my feet. And it was
God.
like it wouldn't stop. It wasn't just a one-time thing. I'm like dancing and moving and hanging onto the wall, and Jacob was over there
Oh.
watching the whole thing. And we finally got untangled. Nobody died, but I was like, I would
Mm-hmm.
have broken her if I
Oh.
had stepped on her. I would
Mm.
have broken
She's a
something, or
little
she could would have
lady.
died.
Ugh.
Whew.
Girly
She was,
Poppins.
yeah, she was a little rattled by it too. We both were.
Mm.
Sorry, Olive.
Poor girl. Oh, my
Yeah.
poor Olive, being such a good quail, doing absolutely nothing rotten
Just
whatsoever.
being a cat. That's all she
Being the
knows how to
cutest thing,
be.
right? The cutest thing she could ever be. Well, excuse me, I had
We're
breakfast.
digressing a
Say
little
we
here.
are a little sorry. Olive, you're just so cute. I could talk about you for hours. Anyways, well, so the biggest, thing of form of love are love languages, and there are typically five from what I've understood.
Okay.
They're your words of affirmation, acts of service, your physical touch, your quality time, and giving gifts.
Mhm,
Everybody has a different form of love languages. I learned in my premarital counseling, people typically have about two.
mhm.
Like they're two main ones. Everybody like probably at some point enjoys all five of them, but
Right.
typically you have two main ones. So like with your words of affirmation, it's verbal compliments that express your love and admiration and affection and appreciation and all that kind of stuff. Which throughout the podcast we'll kind of go into detail of each, just kind of give a quick brief summary of all of them.
Mhm,
And then your acts of service is any act that eases the burden of responsibility. You know, we love it when people take on that responsibility for our service. I definitely think acts of service are one of mine. I love when Adam takes things off my plate for sure.
mhm,
So, and quality time, kind of in itself, just focused and undivided attention upon the person that you're with. And then giving gifts is just tangible symbols of love and affection that reflect
mhm.
your thoughtfulness and all that kind of stuff. And then your physical touch, it's your intimate touches is just them knowing you're there kind of thing. I like I said, I definitely my primary one is definitely acts of service. I love when Adam does that. And then another one of mine are definitely words of affirmation. I like to know that he appreciates me every so often. But like I said, typically a lot of people, like I learned in our premarital counseling, tend to have a top two and sometimes a third that'll like peek in, but um,
Mhm.
they're I they shift a lot throughout your relationship. When Adam and I
Yeah.
first got together, a lot of it, was a lot of like the quality time and like that
Mhm,
physical contact and acts of service. Where now it's like the acts of service, the words of affirmation, and quality time. Like I think the physical touch kind of fizzed out. Like, obviously, you still have to, like, touch each other. But, I definitely think it fizzled out of the, like, I absolutely need this to know that you love me.
Mhm.
Like, I don't need you to be constantly on
Mhm.
top of me. um, and I definitely think it can be hard at times to know what your love languages. So I feel like today we can explore that a little bit. And I think our first
Yeah.
top one would definitely be that words of affirmation. Um, there's so many different ways I feel like you can definitely
Mhm.
do your words of affirmation.
Mhm.
A lot of mine personally are Adam just simply telling me that he appreciates me or that he appreciates the things that I do for him. And
Mhm.
obviously calling me beautiful, but like, who wouldn't?
We all love that.
Ugh,
Yeah.
who would not love when their significant other approaches them and they're like, "You're the most perfect human being ever." I feel like words of affirmation are a very common love language for most people.
And I wonder if it's because it's it it's kind of an easy one.
Yeah.
Are we still there? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my headset's talking to me.
Oh
Okay.
no, your
Um,
headset's like, "Excuse me, ma'am."
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not easy for everyone,
Yeah.
but it doesn't take a lot of extra.
Right.
It doesn't take time.
Mhm.
It just takes the the forethought or
Absolutely.
and so it's very important. It's obviously a very
Mhm.
important one. And if we never hear words of affirmation, um, it's gonna cause us to probably question why
Mhm.
do I even do things if I'm
Right.
not appreciated? And I think every mother has felt that way at some point in their life. I cook and
Right.
I clean and I do the laundry, and all you
Absolutely.
get is, hey, my hoodie's not clean. And you're like, I just did your laundry.
Right.
So, where's that, hey, thanks, mom, for doing my laundry kind of thing. Um,
Absolutely.
but it is an easy one, and it's one that is easy to exercise every day.
Mhm.
Um, and the other thing is, I think that sometimes we might put words of affirmation kind of in a box. It's like, hey, I appreciate you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing that. But
Mhm.
sometimes it is um, really confidence boosting for us. Let's say we have a job interview. Hey, I
Mhm.
know you're going to nail it. I know you've got this.
Absolutely.
It's not just,
Mhm.
I appreciate you. That's certainly part of it, but encouragement. Hey, I know you're having a rough day. I'm here for you. And it can get paired with physical touch. Maybe it gets paired with a hug.
Right.
Um, yeah, but it
Yep.
doesn't have to just be
Mhm.
thank you.
Right. I say everything definitely kind of the love languages definitely kind of coincide with each other because you can
Mm-hmm.
definitely do more than one in a moment. And obviously words of affirmation don't even just have to be from your like romantic partner or friends, it can also
Mm-hmm.
be from your job, hearing from your
Mm-hmm.
boss being like, I really appreciate the work that you've done on this situation and you're very
Mm-hmm.
valued to me can really be that confidence boost that you need that like goes to prove, what, I did make the right decision of picking this position and being here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it kind of goes back to our burnout conversation that we had a couple
Yeah.
weekends ago, about the aspect like telling your staff that like like and showing and like that acts of services as well as
Mm-hmm.
showing that we really like you are very appreciated in this position. So
Mm-hmm.
it can definitely be
Yeah.
a confidence boost, and it doesn't have to actually even just be like physical words coming out of your mouth. You can also like write a little love letter. Like sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
especially when we were dating, I would, now that we have fun little phones technology, speaking of my husband,
Oh.
he's on the back of my
uh,
phone. Um,
he has his presence in my house too, and in my car. So just a
Absolutely.
little quick side note. When Adam and Kathryn got married, I had these stickers made of Adam's face. It was like confetti, but they're also stickers. And
Mm-hmm.
they were in the groomsman's gifts that he gave his groomspeople. And we have been finding them everywhere. But while they were on their honeymoon, my niece house sat for them, and she took these little um, atom heads and put them all over their apartment. I think they're probably still finding them. I'm still finding them at my house too.
I think we've only found, I think she said she hid like 20 or 25 and we only have found 15. So
Yeah,
I'm waiting
well,
for the day that we move out and find the
yeah,
rest.
right, right. But
But
anyway, that's where the atom
anyways,
stickers came
yes,
from.
that's where the face of my husband comes from. But anyways, so yes, we are in the day and age of our phones and stuff. And so when we were like first starting to date, I would send him like long paragraphs just telling him how much I love him and just like affirming like that we had made the right decision, that I, no
Hmm.
matter the storm we weather, I will never regret swiping right on him, kind of things. So it can be as simple as sending a quick text message as it is just having an in-person deep
Hmm.
conversation to I love you, you're
Right.
handsome. Like it can literally be anything. And that's
Hmm.
what's, like you said,
Hmm.
it's so I think it comes so effortlessly to people because it's not as time consuming. You can literally just in a passing moment be like, I appreciate that you did the dishes for me, or
Right.
words of
Hmm.
encouragement, you're going to do great, be safe, like that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. So it can
Exactly.
definitely
Exactly. Yeah.
be very easy. But
Hmm.
also, I know we were talking a little about self-care and stuff before we really started this. I do also recommend some self-care for your love languages as well. A
Hmm.
little self-love love languages because,
Absolutely.
like I had mentioned a little earlier, I made an Instagram post where I was like, the best kind of Valentine's love is self-love. And I will always stand by that because although
It's
it
so
is
true.
super magical and I love absolutely with my entire soul being married and having that type of love, self-love, I feel like you have to love yourself before you can truly love somebody else.
Hmm.
And I know self-love changes throughout the years. Your body changes as you grow, so self-love can come in different forms and can also
Hmm.
take a little bit of a nosedive as you get older. Um, but I think just to always remind yourself and to tell yourself and talk to yourself about those words of affirmation. I always, I have a lot of friends, I'm 25 and I like, I look back at my own high school body and I'm like, what I would do, what I would do to be that skinny. But I've come to realize that although I love what I looked like back then, I am where I am and I belong, and my body that I have now is just as valid as it was back in high
Hmm.
school. I'm definitely not as skinny as I was, and that is for certain. But, my body has been through a lot since then, and I, have come to grow and appreciate it, and it can be really hard. So just,
Hmm.
reminding yourself, that you are loved by yourself and that, your body
Hmm.
is meant to be what it's meant to look like, what it looks like now, because it's carried a lot
Hmm.
and you're so strong for getting through all of that and your
That's
body coming
right.
out on
Yeah.
the other side.
Hmm. Yeah. Don't forget to find things um, that you do love about yourself. I could give you a list of 25 things I would change about myself if I could, given money, plastic surgery, whatever. Um, but find a few things that you love about yourself.
Mhm.
Maybe you love your smile. Maybe you love your eyes. Um, Maybe you love your hair. I mean, maybe um, so find a couple of physical things, but then
Mhm.
find internal things about who you
Mhm.
are that you love about yourself. Um, Maybe you love that um, you always do your best to make people feel welcome when they come into your home. Or
Mhm.
you love that you're pretty good at giving gifts, at knowing people and
Mhm.
finding something unique and special about them. And you're not just giving everybody, not that there's anything wrong with gift cards. We all love them. But you know
Michael
that
Peppers.
maybe right. Sometimes he gets gift cards. I told him the other day, I was like, I have just about run out of gift giving ideas for you. I don't even know. But just, remind yourself of
Mhm.
good things about you. Hey, I'm really good at interviewing for jobs. I've got the last job that I interviewed
Mhm.
for. It can be anything, but just remember to love yourself first.
Absolutely. And there are definitely a lot of different ways you can use your words of affirmation or find ways to produce those words of affirmations for yourself. Like kind of going with Karen's love for journaling, journal
Mm-hmm.
about, keep like an affirmations journal of so that way you can go back and be like when you're at your lowest low and look back and be able to
Mm-hmm.
remind yourself of who you are
Mm-hmm.
when you feel like you're lost among the sea of what everybody thinks you should be. um and then just also writing letters to yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Love letters are such a fun way to express your love, and it doesn't have to be just for your love for others. You can write love letters to yourself and all that kind of stuff. And then on the one thing I know that's super cliche but I find that works sometimes is having little like sticky notes around, just kind of like being like, smile, your smile looks great today, or like stuff like that, like just
Mm-hmm.
something super simple as you're beautiful. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know some of these
Yes.
things feel super cliche and it feels super weird to have a love language for yourself, but like we keep reiterating, self-love is one of the most important love out there,
Mm-hmm.
because you can
Mm-hmm.
never genuinely love somebody purely until you like love yourself purely.
Right. And I think one of the things, and I've got some years on Catherine, so I think honestly that's one of the things that makes this podcast helpful, I hope, to people is that you get different perspectives,
Hmm.
and we have generally the same ideas that you hear come from us, but just from a different perspective. So one of the things I was thinking about, and I really had to work on for myself, was not expecting or needing someone else to
Hmm.
meet my need of words of affirmation. I think it's important that you not have that you're not dependent on just one other
Hmm.
person or a couple of people to fill your need for whatever your love language is. If it's words of affirmation, I shouldn't just only survive
Absolutely.
on what someone else says to me positively. That's where it's so important, like you were saying, to make sure that we meet that need within ourselves
Hmm.
as well. Because if you are 100% dependent on someone else to do that for you, and they don't do it as much as you need or as much as you think they should or as
Hmm.
much as you want, you're going to be so disappointed in them when the fact is we need to fulfill our own needs
Absolutely.
when it comes to those things so that without that person, we stand alone and we still know that
Hmm.
we are a valuable person.
Absolutely. You should never find your significant other or even friends and family shouldn't be your only source of happiness. Little whatever. And
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned physical touch earlier, so maybe we can kind of
Hmm.
transition to physical touch.
Yeah, definitely.
With that, quick encouraging hug. Like I said, physical touch is a non-sexual touch with
Hmm.
referencing your like partner and yourself's presence within them. As simple as like an encouraging hug and all that. I definitely, when we first got together, needed that physical touch a little more. I think
Hmm.
it was more of a trauma response than it was
Hmm.
a
You needed
love language.
safe physical
Yeah, like
touch.
I
Hmm.
trigger warning. I know I've discussed this not even just on this podcast, but just in my general life. I met Adam a week after I was assaulted. So we would just lay for hours, just wrapped up in his like Adam's arm, and I felt so safe. Because it's just like anything
Hmm.
outside of being in his arms, I felt so vulnerable to the world.
Hmm.
So I definitely think it was more of a trauma response of just knowing I just swallowed or just choked my saliva. Oh,
Oh,
and I know he won't come and save me. No. Uh,
I'll text him and be like, "Go check on Catherine. She's
ugh,
gasping.
she's dying. Help. But
She's
I
not gonna make
definitely
it."
felt, but after my assault for months, felt just so vulnerable and just so scared that if it wasn't
Hmm.
my husband, then boyfriend, or like somebody like a male that I trusted with my life still, I felt too vulnerable, and so anytime we would just like be snuggling, just laying in his arms, I just felt the safest because I knew nothing could get to
Mhm.
me because I knew he would do anything in his power to keep things
Mhm.
from getting to me.
Mhm.
So it was definitely a trauma love language response, and that that can happen as well. Keep it like in
Mhm.
mind. You can develop love languages due to trauma responses.
You can. Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes your love language, it might show what you lacked as a child. What
Absolutely.
you seek in your adult romantic relationship might be the components that you are looking for might be the ones that you didn't have growing up.
Absolutely.
And while it wasn't romantic growing up, we still look for those pieces in our romantic
Mhm.
relationships. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is important to know why. We don't always, we can take there's a quiz you can take, and it will tell
Mhm.
you, like Kathryn said, there's a couple, usually two out of the five that sort of emerge
Mhm.
as your top uh, love
Love
languages.
languages. Yeah.
Um, so when you see what they are, um, it might just kind of think about, I wonder why those are mine. Um, like she was saying, the physical touch, the right kind of physical touch is what she's looking for because she's
Mhm.
experienced the wrong kind.
Mhm.
So, sometimes we're looking to fill something with what didn't go well, maybe as a
Mhm.
child or a
Absolutely.
teenager. Yeah. And even as an adult, I mean,
Mhm.
it's not just as a child, but sometimes we're looking for someone else to fill those needs that we have. And that kind of goes back to fulfilling our own needs,
Absolutely.
making sure that we're taking care of ourselves. But there's
Mhm.
something about human touch that is powerful beyond words. Um,
Mhm.
when it's the right kind of physical touch, it doesn't even need words.
Mhm.
And they do a lot of times connect, but I've told Mike, we have this, I have this big old comfy couch, and
Mhm.
he sits in the corner, and we're in a routine. I will not call it a rut because I love our routine.
Hey, not every
Um,
routine is a rut.
that's right. He comes over, we eat dinner, um, and this is every evening almost before he goes to work. He sits on the couch. I sit down. He puts his arm out most of the time, and I snuggle up right next to
Mhm.
him. And most of the time, we'll fall asleep. And I have told him, if I've told him once, I've told him 100 times, this is my favorite place to be. Right here, snuggled
Mhm.
up with you, with your arms around me. This is my safe place.
Mhm.
And I know, just like you were saying with Adam, that there's nothing he wouldn't do to protect me and to protect Jacob. Um,
Absolutely.
that physical touch. And he is, I'm certain he's never taken a love language quiz, but if he did, physical touch would be probably his number one.
Mhm.
He's a very affectionate person. Every day he comes
That's so
over, we give
cute.
each other a hug and a kiss.
Mhm.
We do it before he leaves every day, 3.5, almost 4 years later. And I hope that never stops. If I have
You're so
anything to do with it,
cute.
it will not stop. Because I love that. And I
Mhm.
pretty sure he does too. It's just because I am a hugger. So I hug people
She
that I
is.
love. I am a hugger. And if I meet you, I might have just met you. Oh, it's nice to meet you. Like if someone maybe in Kathryn's family that I've heard about but hadn't met yet, I might give them a hug if they're okay with it. I always ask, "Are you a
Right.
hugger?" Because
She's
I am.
consensual.
It is. I'm not going to make anyone hug me that's not comfortable. But that physical touch, I think, is just, I think it's so beautiful because it stands alone as its own love language. Don't have
Absolutely.
to say a word.
And to kind of like add further into the physical touch, like if we're laying there, he's like you, he falls asleep the whole time when we're snuggling. And sometimes I like to like when we're snuggling, especially if I'm like kind of the one like sitting up and he's got his arms like wrapped around here. I just like trace my fingers along his like skin
Mhm.
and just kind of like
Yeah.
just lay there in the contentment of it.
Mhm.
Like I and you just said, not every routine is a rut. And we like to get in that routine too, where we just
Mhm.
after a long day of work, don't say anything. You just climb into bed and you just snuggle it up and just let the worries of the day
Mhm.
just completely melt
That's right.
away. It's
Yeah.
just the warmth of
It's
being under a blanket and wrapped around the person you love
mhm.
with your entire heart. It's just
Mhm. It's a
something
beautiful
about it.
thing.
There's just
Yeah.
something about it that just makes your day so much
Yeah.
better. Um,
One thing I will say, Kathryn and I are in long-term relationships. She's married, obviously. I'm sorry, I keep messing with my headset. It's a new little toy for me, and I'm still adjusting a bit. But I've been with my boyfriend almost 4 years, so we've been
mhm.
together a long time. Um, he's my person. He's my physical touch person. That's where I get that
Mhm.
need met from him. Um, Other people that maybe aren't in a long-term relationship like
Mhm.
that, and we've kind of touched on this a little bit before, sometimes they seek that um, in a more casual
Yeah.
um, situationship, maybe. Maybe we talked about Tinder a little bit, and Kathryn's like, we don't judge you if that's your thing.
That is the last place I would ever judge
Also,
anybody at.
also true here. We are not going to
Mhm.
judge you if your need for physical touch is found in a more casual situation like that.
Absolutely.
Um, it's beautiful when it's with someone that you love and
Mhm.
you have other connections with, but we all have needs for physical touch, um, non sexual physical touch. And so, um, you know, just know that we are speaking from the experience that we are in right now,
Mhm.
but we know that other people may not be
Absolutely.
experiencing that same kind of relationship. So we
Absolutely.
don't judge you.
There is part of the LGBTQ, there is an asexual area. I actually know several people in my life who are a part of the asexual. I mean, honestly, before I met Adam, I also thought I was, but a lot of it was because I was dealing with a lot of trauma. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's completely beside the point. So, not everybody likes to get physical contact or all that. And, that can go into your self care, physical contact as well, as much as like
Mm-hmm.
taking a bath, trying a new body scrub,
Mm-hmm.
practicing some skincare, stretching your body, going
Right.
for a
Right.
walk, using your favorite like scented lotion, just like taking care of your skin and just like getting
Mm-hmm.
to know your skin and all that kind of stuff and taking care of your body, in an intimate way. Obviously there is intimate physical touch as well, but this podcast is family friendly.
G rated.
We are all adults
PG.
and we all understand that everybody has needs, but we will not be talking about those. There are other
Right.
podcasts for you out there though.
I'm
Um,
certain that.
but they just aren't us.
Right.
We may be
Not it.
close, but I no offense to Karen, but I do not want to know what's going on behind closed doors. I gotta be honest.
Same.
She doesn't need to know
No
how her
mama wants to
yeah.
know.
She doesn't need to
No
know about her
mama wants to
grandkid
know what
children.
her son is up to until they say, "Guess what? We're pregnant." And you're
Uh,
like, "Oh,
you're like, I
I
know what
guess
you
they
did.
are okay."
Okay.
Uh,
Even though we're married and all that, no mom wants to know what their
Don't
child is
tell
doing.
me. Right,
Absolutely.
right.
Nobody wants to know how their
And
grandkids
vice
got
versa.
made.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Nobody wants to know how they got here. They're just happy that they're here, kind of
that's
thing.
right.
But also to kind of go with your how we were talking about the trauma response and all that. There's actually one of my favorite Instagram. She got famous off of TikTok for like self love songs, and she's coming out with a song. I don't know if the title is it's basically the song's about how little me comes out in the hardest of times. So like it's like sorry little me made an appearance kind of thing. Like there's a part of her lyrics,
Mm,
like and sorry that she like evaluates the I love yous a little harder than like compares the I love you versus from this morning versus now. And so that's definitely a trauma response is like, your little
mhm,
inner you coming out and being like, you touched me, you snuggled me a little bit ago, now you don't want to, what's going on? And
mhm,
that can definitely be a trauma response. I
Mhm.
personally I hate airing out this garbage or trauma just because, my dad and I now have a really good relationship. But I apologize a lot because of him. Um, Definitely made me feel like I should apologize for my existence a lot when I was younger. Even though
Mm.
I'm half of him. He kind of did it himself, literally. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. But so I definitely struggled with apologizing a lot, and Adam really helped me learn not to apologize and to be loud in my existence. To not let
Mhm.
myself feel like being alive was a mistake, because that can be a very easy trauma response, especially when it
Mhm.
comes to trauma from your childhood and your parents and stuff. So definitely with your with your word, this goes back to your words of affirmation specifically, to remind yourself that you're here for a purpose. Whether the
Mhm.
first couple of years of your life felt purposeless, your adulthood, you have so much to live for. As I feel like I'm
Mhm.
a very prime example of that.
Mhm.
I when I hit 18, I was like, I didn't feel like I had a purpose. I was like, I thought I'd be gone off this planet by 21. I didn't think I had a purpose. I didn't think that I thought my existence was kind of like meaningless. And then I met my husband at 20, and the world said, "You said 21, and you gave me until 21, and I proved you at 20 that you have a purpose and why you're here." So just
Mhm.
remind yourself, and yeah.
Mhm. And even if um, you still find, a lot of people struggle. I certainly, Lord, that would be probably a couple of podcast episodes if I told you my life story. Um, but
Same.
I've struggled a lot with relationships, and many people have, and with finding the right person. Um,
Mhm.
and going through those things really can tear you down. Um, it can make you feel like, and I've felt this way, and a lot of times I still believe it, that, for every failed relationship that I see, I'm the common denominator here. So maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the one
Mhm.
that hasn't figured out yet how to make a relationship work. Maybe I have too many demands or too many expectations. Um, I have a quote, my favorite, Pinterest.
Yeah.
We're not going to get
Ugh.
through a podcast without me talking about
Mhm.
it, but um, it says sometimes I have to work on me because sometimes I'm the problem. And
Mhm.
so I have to recognize that too. But I, what my point is, if you're still going, maybe dating, going through different relationships, and you feel like you haven't gotten to the one or a long lasting one, um, that doesn't mean that you're not enough
Mhm.
as you and by yourself. That doesn't
Absolutely.
mean that there's anything wrong with you. You're allowed to have expectations. You're allowed to walk away from things that aren't serving you well, things that are not good for you, that are not good long term. You're allowed to do that. Now, don't beat yourself up and be like, some people are perfectionists, and some people are looking for, they have a list. I want one, two, three, four, five, and there might be
Mhm.
10 or 20 things on their list. Well, I hate to break it to you, that person probably doesn't exist except in your fantasy.
Mhm.
So sometimes you have to look at, you have to kind of reprioritize and narrow your list down. Not saying entertain a bad person or someone that's not good for you, but just know that if you haven't found that person yet, it's okay. You are
Mhm.
perfectly perfect, just like you are. And if you feel like there's something you need to work on yourself, then do that. Work on what you are responsible for, but don't blame yourself. for not finding a person that fits well with you.
Mhm.
Um, they may or may not be out there. I know Kathryn has said plenty of times she didn't think she was ever going to find a person.
Nope.
She was not expecting that. And
Mm.
she found Adam, who is, um, big shocker, Adam, don't listen. He's not perfect. Um, he is not. Um, but he's perfect for her. He's perfect for what she was looking for, what she needed, especially in that moment that she met him. He filled that for her, and kudos to Adam because Adam wasn't doing that just because he was trying to get with her or he
Right.
was trying to get her to like him. He was being himself.
He
That's
was.
Adam. He's very compassionate, very caring,
Mhm.
and he was giving her not only what she needed, but he was being himself and doing
Mhm.
it. He was being his authentic self, and that is a great way to build a foundation of a
Absolutely.
relationship. And
Absolutely.
yes, things have grown in their relationship a lot since that time. And I loved what you said earlier because you said your love languages will likely change
Mhm.
as you go through your relationship. And I had never really thought about it that way before because I'm always like, nope, these are mine and
Mhm.
this is what I want, this is what I need. But it's not always going to be that way. When you
Absolutely.
first meet somebody, we're all about, oh, I can't keep my hands off of them. And I'm
Exactly.
just constantly texting them
Mhm.
and telling them, I miss you. I can't wait to see you, and maybe
Mhm.
giving little gifts and just trying to spend every free minute together. And then as we grow, relationships don't stay in that little honeymoon phase
Absolutely.
forever. You
No.
grow,
No.
you learn more about each other,
Mhm.
and those things that are important to you that you need in that relationship are going
Mhm.
to ebb and flow. They're going to change.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how I got off on that rabbit
Oh
trail,
no.
but somewhere I
No,
was
I
talking
mean,
about.
I totally agree with you. A lot of relationship love languages start out with your physical touch, your gift giving, and your words of affirmation. The number one thing that a lot of people tend to see stay are those words of affirmation. And then slowly, the longer you're with somebody, your quality time and your acts of services start creeping in because you've been together long enough. You're out of that honeymoon phase. You don't need to be on them
Mhm.
24/7. They don't need to be your at that point, you're probably trying to save money to continue your future and all that.
Mhm.
So that's when
Right.
your quality time and acts of service kind of kick in. As simple
Mhm.
as like, doing the dishes and stuff like that, or like
Mhm.
sitting on the couch, snuggling up on the couch with each other,
Mhm. Right.
and then, like I said, words of affirmation tend to be the one that sticks around the longest, just because you need it throughout your entire relationship. Not
Mhm.
to say you don't ever need any of them. Everything kind of coincides with each other at some point, one way or another. You eventually need all five to make your relationship
Mhm.
work. But, the older you get and the longer you've been with somebody, just the quality time with them just seems to be some of the most memorable. Like the quality time Adam and I have seems to be more of the memories that we tend to keep than the little gifts that he gives me or, um, like the even sometimes the physical touch, although I feel super safe in his arms. I don't need it now, especially I don't need to be in his arms to feel safe. And kind of to go back to our happiness conversation, finding that happiness in you. I know when I met Adam, I had lost a lot of my happiness, so he wasn't, at the time it probably seemed like he was my primary happiness, but it wasn't he was my primary happiness. He was showing me the happiness I needed to find my primary happiness again. Like I
Mhm.
had lost what made me happy and he kind of represented what made me happy. And all that kind of stuff. So that just goes back to the finding that happiness within you. There's no harm in your partner helping you find that happiness.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know, it can be really confusing sometimes, especially at this age
Mhm.
where that I'm at. Even at your age, Karen, sometimes you lose what makes you happy because you've just been
Mhm.
living. Although not every routine is a rut, some of them are, and you can find
Mhm.
and lose that happiness.
Mhm.
So there's no harm either in finding it yourself, but also allowing your partner to help you find that happiness again.
Absolutely. Yes. I will say, with Mike, I've told him this before. He's different than anyone else I've ever known or been in a
Hmm.
relationship with, and that is a good thing, because he has taught me. I have learned so much about myself during
Hmm.
the time that we have been together, and um, some of it is hard to come to the
Hmm.
realization of, I don't, none of us like to think that we're the problem.
Right.
Um, Sometimes we are. Sometimes
Hmm.
we are just, maybe we're not good judges of character. Sometimes we just, we're looking to fill the void.
Hmm.
And sometimes we'll take whoever we can get, to fill
Hmm.
that void. That's not always a good thing.
Mm-mm.
But I have learned about more about myself in the last 3.5 years. And I think I referenced this last episode that I was very dependent on him to meet my needs. I had to learn that I cannot just be fulfilled by him, because if he doesn't do one of these things, if he doesn't give words of affirmation to me at some point when I feel like I really need it, then I'm
Mhm.
mad at him because he doesn't know.
Mhm.
And, newsflash, nobody reads minds. Well, some people might, but I don't. And for sure he doesn't. So, he doesn't know unless I tell him what
Right.
I need. Um, he's not probably going to know. Now,
Absolutely.
there are times he certainly knows, if I'm upset, I'm crying about something.
Mhm.
He knows I need a hug. He's
Yeah.
not completely oblivious, but he may not
Right.
know. He may not know what words to say. He may not know if he should say anything. He may
Right.
not know if I need to hear him say, "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." He's not going to be able to read my mind about that. So
Right.
that's why it goes back to that self love.
Mhm.
We have to make sure that we're okay in and of
Mhm.
ourselves and not 100% relying on someone else to meet
Absolutely.
some of those needs. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like what you said, like he hugs you when you're crying, you like with that you needing to have yourself, because although he may not know what to say to you, just remind yourself that he is there. He's physically
Mm-hmm.
there holding you. And
Mm-hmm.
although you can't
Right.
get the words out of what you need from him, just remind
Mm-hmm.
yourself that he is physically there with you and he's not going
Mm-hmm.
anywhere.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
I think, and that brings up a really good point of, sometimes the way love languages are expressed, and we talked about this a little bit,
Mhm.
are not always exactly what we think they are.
Mhm.
That's a perfect example. Maybe he didn't say, "I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. How can I help you?" Maybe he didn't ask any of those questions, but just that holding, physical touch,
Mhm.
reassurance,
Mhm.
arms around you. That is his way of telling me, those are
Mhm.
his words in a sense of, "I'm here, I'm
Exactly.
not going anywhere." So sometimes we, like I said, we put those love languages in a box of how we
Mhm.
think they are expressed, but be open to understanding that, um, different things can have more than one meaning.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Say, remember that your partner is never going to have the exact same version of your love language. Like
absolutely.
Adam and I, we have words of affirmation are two of our like top, like one of our top two love languages, and his like version of love languages is telling me he's thankful for everything I do, whereas mine is I think you're the most handsome man in the entire world. Obviously I tell him I'm appreciated for him, and obviously he tells me he thinks I'm the most beautiful
Mhm.
person as well. But like just reminding, like you said, don't keep everything in that box, and to remember that your partner may have a similar love language to you, but they're going to express it differently because every human
Yeah,
is
that's
absolutely
a great
different.
point.
And,
Great point.
everybody's intentions are different. Your
Mhm.
partner, may not know your intentions behind certain things as well. So
Mhm.
always keep that in mind as well to, let them know your intentions of why you're saying a specific thing. Be like, I think you're
Mhm.
handsome because I see all these other people and you're the first, like we could be in a room full of people and my eyes immediately land only on you. So just stuff
Mhm.
like that, just remember
Right.
that everybody's intentions are different and that you have to remind them of what
Mhm.
your intentions are and what your wants and needs are. But also like you said, being content with his words of like are you okay are just him giving you a hug and like letting
Mhm.
you cry into
Right.
him. Adam
Right.
definitely likes to do that as well, where he just likes, like, if I'm having a mental breakdown, he just wraps himself around me because he knows being
Mhm.
in his arms is like can definitely
Mhm.
be a helper, especially when we were first dating.
Mhm.
Like I said, now it's not as much of a love language. It's still, like I said, like I keep reiterating, every every love language is needed in a relationship. But,
Mhm.
definitely they all change. My love languages
Yeah.
definitely went from that physical touch and words of
Right.
affirmation to words of affirmation and acts of service for sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah.
I think another thing that I had to learn was that sometimes, a lot of times, how I'm trying to think of the best way to say this, what my love languages are often how I show love to other people. So
Mhm.
if my love languages are physical touch and giving gifts, let's just say, and I'm
Mhm.
not saying there, but let's just use those for example. um, then what you might see from me or what Mike might see from me is
Mhm.
physical touch and giving gifts. So,
Absolutely.
or words, whatever mine are, whatever's important to me often is
Mhm.
what I do for other people. Those
Absolutely.
might not be his love languages.
Right.
Um, so does he appreciate them and
Right.
enjoy gifts that I give him? Of course, he's very appreciative. But he's also okay if I don't do that because
Mhm.
those might not be his things.
Absolutely.
So you have to think about, if you flip that, okay, then um, it's if those are the easy ones for me to show him, what are the love languages that he is showing me? Like, how,
Mhm.
if mine are words of affirmation and giving gifts, let's say those are
Mhm.
mine. And what he does for me is physical touch and acts of service,
Mhm.
then is he not meeting my needs?
Mhm.
He is, because
Yeah.
I can tell you that this man has given me so many generous gifts. Now, I tend to be more of that. Hey, I got you. I went shopping yesterday. I got you a couple T-shirts at Marshalls.
Mhm.
Little small things. This man, you know, bought tires for my car. I mean, he takes
Mhm.
care of my car.
Right.
I haven't paid for an oil change since I met him. I don't pay for the oil filter.
Can I get a
I
Michael
don't.
Peppers, please?
I know.
Michael
Bethany
Peppers.
says that too.
Michael
Yeah.
Peppers, do you want to pay for my oil changes? Thank you.
He has done all of those kinds of things for
Absolutely.
me that are acts of service. That's how
Mhm.
he just takes care of me in that way. Is that
Absolutely.
something that
Mhm.
I would have identified as one of my love languages? No, probably not.
Mhm.
But I love that he does that for me. And I'm okay with him showing me how he loves me through the
Mhm.
things that he knows how to
Yeah.
do and wants to do. I'm not going to say, well, that's not what I wanted from you. What I
Mhm.
wanted was words of affirmation. So
Absolutely.
just be careful not to push someone away. Let people be themselves and
Right.
don't try to push them into being
Mm-mm.
someone that you want them to be.
Absolutely
I
not.
struggled with
Mhm.
that at first because one of my love languages is words of affirmation. And he's not real big on compliments. Not that he doesn't ever do them, but he's not an everyday, oh my God, you're so beautiful kind of person. And that's okay.
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
um, but he said the other day. we were actually joking about something, and he was like, "You are very beautiful," and I was like, "Oh wow." One time he saw me.
Very.
We were going out to dinner, and I had a dress on, some boots. I was looking cute,
As
and
always,
he had
as
he
always.
he had not seen me in a dress, I don't think, and I opened the door, and he goes, "Wow, you look great." And I was like, "Oh, thank you."
You're like,
You
oh,
know, it's not every day. It's not
exactly.
all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
those things have stuck in my head. I remember
Absolutely.
them. So it's okay. Like I have to be okay with letting him love me the way he loves me. I would never just be like, "Well, you're not giving me, you're not meeting, you don't even know my love languages, so I'm done."
Mm-hmm.
A lot of relationships, people have been together 10, 20 years and they've never even heard the concept of love languages.
Mm-hmm.
So if, let's say, you learn about it 15 years in, and then you're realizing, oh my gosh, she doesn't fulfill any of my love languages, that doesn't mean that you're with the wrong person. Now
Mm-hmm.
hopefully your communication is good enough and you can talk about it, in 15 years in, they probably know what things you like and what things you enjoy, and
Absolutely.
hopefully they are meeting those. But
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's important. Don't create problems that aren't there.
Absolutely.
If you're in a relationship and things are good and you're happy, it's okay if they haven't zoned in on what is the number one
Mm-hmm.
primary love language for you, and they
Yeah,
may or may not meet it on a consistent basis. There are a
absolutely.
lot of other things that connect people. I saw on Pinterest, I saw a
Not
quote that said,
Pinterest.
sending TikToks is my love language. Mike sends me TikToks every day. He's like, "You got to see this." I send him some back. It's just a fun little thing we do. But there are other things that fulfill a relationship that may or may not fit in one of these five categories. Laughing together, just, whether it's a TV show or just telling each other funny stories like we did last time, nurturing one another, body language, maybe where you're feeling, that can go with physical touch, but your body language doesn't necessarily have to
Yeah,
mean you're physically touching one another. Reassurance, that can go with words of affirmation, but all of those areas can give you reassurance. So
absolutely.
just be open to how your partner shows their love to you, and don't set expectations where you're just going to be disappointed.
Absolutely. And you have to remember as well, um, people love you the way that they want to be loved. Like they love you in their love language.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one big thing to definitely keep your eye on. If you're like, I'm not sure what my partner's love language is pay
Yeah.
attention to how they're loving you because
Mm-hmm.
that's their love language. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, you
So
know,
true.
um, like with Adam, and you guys can share love languages too, just as much as you can have opposite love languages. Like I said, like
Right,
Adam and
right.
I, our love language we share is those words of affirmation, whereas I am definitely more of an acts of service nowadays, and he's definitely more of a quality time kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of stuff can definitely change, like we said, over time, but just definitely keep in mind and watch the way your partner's loving you because it's them most likely telling you how they want to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
With
Mm-hmm.
Michael Pepper's doing doing your oil changes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also, is probably his way of showing you like he loves when you make dinner and that you allow him to come
And
to a
he
safe
does.
space and
Right,
snuggle with
right.
him and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
that's
And those are
for
things
sure.
I really hadn't thought about as meeting his needs for acts of service.
Mhm.
Like I cook dinner, I take care of all that. When he leaves to go to work, I usually have he likes these little orange juice bottles, and I have those for him. And I'm like, here you go. Here's a pack of almonds. Here's something,
Exactly.
for your break. And
Mhm.
I don't really think about that as being an act of service, but it is.
Mhm.
It's just kind of what we do. I take care of those things. He takes care of the car. He puts furniture together. He helps me move. Um, Bless his heart, I've moved a few times since I've met him. He does all kinds of things like that that I never want to take for granted, but I always want to make sure that I realize that this is, he's taking the time to
Mhm.
do these things for me. He's making the effort. Um, it does kind of meet it does kind of check all those several of those
Mm-hmm.
boxes. It's giving a gift. I haven't paid
Exactly.
for anything.
Oh,
It's quality time. It's his time that he's giving up for me to take care of my car, and it's,
absolutely.
acts of service.
Mm-hmm.
It meets several things, and so I guess I'm just trying to say, make sure you let your person love you the best way they can. And if you're still feeling unfulfilled or something's really missing or wrong in your relationship, then you do need to evaluate that. By no means
Exactly.
am I saying stay in a relationship that is bad and unhealthy
Right.
and
Just because
where
they
you're being
address some of your love languages, for sure.
right. Yeah. Because sometimes people will do it, um, they will do it for love, their
Mm-hmm.
service, and not from love.
Again.
So you need to make sure that someone's not just doing something for you because they want something
Mm-hmm.
back. If you're
Exactly.
in a relationship like that, you need to do some real evaluation.
For
But if
sure.
you see that your partner is doing it from a place of love and they don't want anything in return, they're happy when you reciprocate, and it,
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
make sure that
Absolutely.
that they're doing it. And same for us. We need to make sure what we're doing for our
Mm-hmm.
partner is from a place of love. And it's not because you want them to do, well, I want him to make sure he keeps changing my oil, so I'm going to make sure I keep doing this. No,
Right.
just do it because you want to, and you
Yeah.
want to support your partner the
Absolutely.
best
I
you
say,
can.
because, there might be a time where you can't change your oil and you still make him
Exactly.
dinner. Like, it's one of those where it's like you
Right,
don't
right.
ever want to
It's not
do something to receive something because,
right.
I
It's
mean,
not
other,
contingent
yeah,
on
I mean,
anything.
other than work because you want to get money, but like,
Right,
like when it
right.
comes to your partner and stuff, you should never, like you said, love them in spite of whatever. Like, you never want them to
Right.
think that you're in love with them. You want them to know that you're in love with them.
Yes.
They should never just think, oh,
Right.
well, it goes back to that whole like, well, I put a ring on it, so you should be happy. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I need to know why
Right.
you put a ring on it because I want
Mhm.
to still do the things that made you
Mhm.
put a ring on it. I don't want to.
Right. Why are we still here? Why are we
Exactly.
doing this?
Like,
Yeah.
what is the reason?
I'm just gonna keep talking while she's doing her thing. So I think we were just talking about how to evaluate the relationship that you're in. It's important to know what healthy love looks like. Um, Healthy love shows respect for boundaries, balance, trust, communication, remorse, showing the person that you truly are remorseful for something that you've done, and making an effort to fix the problem, not just saying you're sorry, but correcting the issue and not doing it again. Um, those are some healthy relationship, healthy love things to look for. Um, Empathy, just doing your best to understand what your partner is going through, what they're dealing with. Um, Putting on a united front, unity, um, not expecting your partner to fight a fight alone. And when I say fight, I don't mean physical, but just, you don't want them to have to deal with a problem all by themselves. Well, you got yourself into this. I guess you're going to have to get yourself out. In a healthy relationship, you should be a united front. Um, so, yeah, those are acceptance. Oh, we have a baby. Accepting one another. You don't know this, Kathryn. I've been rambling on while you were gone. So, um,
You are
talking
fine.
about talking about what healthy love looks like. Um, so yeah,
I'll leave that in
and
for
now we
everybody to
have
see.
little
A espresso.
espresso baby.
A
Hey,
Tinky
sweet
Pinky
boy.
Pinkin. Good morning. Hey, you're not even gonna look up. Look up. Look at your
Yeah,
grandmother.
I know, right? He doesn't even want to say hi. I see you barely putting your eyes up here. Nice, sweet boy.
I still got a band-aid because I was pinking and it started bleeding, and I was like, I need
Oh
to put a band-aid
no.
on that.
I was like, boy, she's been gone for a minute.
I went to go get Band-Aid
S-
and then found a baby.
you know, share things with each other. Listen to understand, don't listen to
Mhm.
respond. There are so many other healthy things that build a relationship on top of those love languages. um, Things that are unhealthy, um, expecting someone to read your minds, good lord.
Mhm.
Men are not that smart, let's just be honest, they don't know. I could be sitting on the couch crying, and he'll be like, "Oh, what happened? Did you stub your toe? You hurt your foot?" No, you were 10 minutes late, and you didn't tell me you were going to be 10 minutes late, whatever I'm tore up about. He's not going to know. Um,
Right.
Not listening to someone in general, just listening to respond. And we do it, I do it. Listen, I really am working on listening to understand and to not always
Mhm.
be thinking about what I'm going to say next. But it's a natural thing. It
Mhm.
happens. Of course, you're going to think about what you're going to say because that's what keeps the conversation going. There aren't
Absolutely.
dead lulls in your conversation if you're not thinking. But you also want to make sure you're listening. Comparison. Oh my goodness. I have done this so many times, comparing your relationship with someone else's relationship. They look like they have it all together. He knows her love language is giving gifts, and he'll come home just random little cards and or
Mhm.
send flowers for no reason or whatever. Those are beautiful things. But if your love language is also giving gifts and your partner's not doing those things for you, that doesn't mean they're doing it wrong. You are
Mhm.
not the same. Don't compare apples and oranges. Their
Never.
relationship is
Mhm.
different. So, like Kathryn said before, her and Adam have the same love language of words of affirmation, but it could look totally different on
Mhm.
how she meets his need for that and how he meets hers.
Absolutely.
Just don't compare. You will find yourself disappointed. I said this before, comparison is the thief of joy. That is not an
Absolutely.
original quote from me, but it's
You
so
know, yeah.
true.
I mean,
Yeah.
definitely don't fault them for that either. Don't hold that against them because it could just mean that you guys just need to have a conversation and,
Mhm.
and it's a good like leeway,
Right.
like don't ever fault them for not knowing your love language either and being like, "Well, you didn't
Hmm.
read my mind." Like
Right. You should
it
know.
just it's one of those where,
Yeah.
it's a perfect time to have that healthy communication with them and be like, "These
Hmm.
are like because they may like you said earlier, they may genuinely not know what love languages are or how to properly
Right.
fulfill
Right.
them. So
Yeah.
instead of holding it against them, well, you didn't buy me flowers and I watched so and so get these flowers, but you didn't buy me, and
Right.
it's kind
Right.
of like, well, tell me you want that so that in the future I
Yeah.
can go ahead and buy the flowers,
Hmm.
or go when I'm at the gas station buy you a snack without needing to ask you. Like you have to
Right.
tell them what you want. You can't just
Right.
assume
Right.
they know. And just because they've
Right.
been with you forever and things are working out doesn't mean that they know automatically what your love languages are, because like we said earlier,
Hmm.
they can change the longer your
Yeah.
relationship goes on. So you have
Absolutely.
to
Your
have
needs
them.
will change.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So you have to have that communication, that open line of
Hmm.
communication and conversation with them on a consistent basis to let them know,
Hmm.
to tell them you're doing X, Y, and Z incorrectly, but also remind them that they're doing A, B, and C correctly.
Right.
Don't tear
Right.
them down and not at least let them know, but you're like not let them know that there's at least doing something right, because then that's when they also
Hmm.
kind of lose the motivation to wanna like what if it's like, well, all
Right.
you're doing is telling me is I'm doing everything wrong, so what's the point of even
Yeah.
trying to do anything right?
Exactly.
Because what if it's still wrong? It's
Yeah.
like, but like remind them like, but you are doing these things correctly. It's just these things have my needs for these things have changed and
Hmm.
shifted, and I would love to see the
Yeah.
like
Just
way
letting
you
you know.
yeah, the way you
Yeah.
respond to them shift with them. So
Hmm.
definitely keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my god, this sneeze won't go away. I can feel it. It's like sitting right in my nostril. Um, like with your needs and whatever, like Adam's needs, the longer we like been together, a quality time is definitely a need for him that has been more apparent. And I recognize that for sure. Like, like a couple, like a week or so ago, I could tell that he's been really wanting and needing quality time. And so what I bought us a video game and we sat and we played the video game for a couple hours
Mhm.
together, and it doesn't like, and keep in mind, even with your gifts, giving gifts, it doesn't have to be expensive or cost money at all
Right.
to do
Right.
your love language. You don't have to buy
Mhm.
a video game to do, but it was kind of a all in like one, like not only was I giving him a gift because he'd been wanting to play this video game forever, I was giving him the quality time. But that does not
Mhm.
have to be every single time we
Right.
spend time together. Like, it can literally
Right.
just be us being in the same room reading a book together, like different book together,
Mhm.
or watching a
Mhm.
movie together, or going for a walk. Like, it was 60 degrees
Right.
here and we went on a
Yeah.
walk together. It can be as
Right.
simple as doing that as it is just laying in
Mhm.
bed and having a lazy Sunday morning together.
Mhm.
It
Right.
never has to
Not
cost
a
money.
Yeah,
It's not
not a
a
competition with
exactly.
how your best friend is doing it.
Exactly.
Make it your own. Um, do what you love and
Exactly.
do what you love to do together
Mhm.
without feeling like there has to be a price tag on it.
Absolutely.
Definitely
Like,
that does
some
help.
of the best memories Adam and I have is just us laying in the bed during the summertime,
Hmm.
window open, reading a book together.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
it never has to be
Hmm.
unreachable, unreasonable. It can
Right.
be just as simple as waking up and looking at each
Hmm.
other and being like, "I love you."
Yeah.
It never has
There's
to
no
be
place else I'd rather be than
right.
right
Like,
here
it
with you.
never
Yeah.
has to be an unreachable,
Hmm.
unrealistic standard or an unrealistic
Right.
result or whatever. Like, it never has to be
Yeah.
something that you can never appease them with.
Right.
Like,
Quality time doesn't have to be a 2 week trip to
exactly.
the Bahamas or wherever you
Exactly.
go. It doesn't have to be that. It's everyday little acts of service and
Exactly.
show of affection and words.
Mhm.
It is just it's I think maybe we just sometimes in our minds make it harder and bigger than it needs to be. I think
Mhm.
that think of keeping it small and you know show showing being nurturing to one
Mhm.
another,
Absolutely.
not snapping at one another, words of affirmation. Maybe you just settled in on the couch and you're ready to uh, watch a movie and they're in the bathroom and they're like, hey, we're out of toilet paper. And you're like, ugh. Now we all, we're like,
Brat.
just got comfortable. I just got comfortable.
He's the reason
Instead
I
of
keep 3 rolls in my
opening the
bathroom.
door and throwing it at him. Yeah, same. You're like, oh, here you go, babe. I paused the movie for you. Hurry up,
Mhm.
um,
Finish
just
pooping.
how you respond sometimes. Get
Exactly.
your business done. Put your phone down and do your business. Get off the
Exactly.
toilet. It can just be how you respond. And
Exactly.
because if you're constantly responding with exasperation or
Mhm.
left his socks in the living room again, or dang it, he's left his, you know, lost his keys again, and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, he's going to feel like he can never do anything right.
Exactly.
So
And vice
just,
versa for sure.
yeah, yeah, just, it's sometimes it's that simple. It's just being careful with how you respond to
So
them.
not even just like outwardly vocally, but just even in your mind as well. Instead of being like, "Oh,
Hmm.
he left his socks again," be like, "Oh, he must
Yeah,
have just gotten so busy. He probably just forgot to grab them. Let
yeah,
me just grab them real quick and just throw them in the laundry." It's literally like 5 feet
right,
away.
right.
Like, it's kind of one of those where it's like readjusting even in the way you think
Hmm.
of how
Very
like you
true.
represent like your
Yeah,
thinking of it. Like,
so true.
yeah, it can be frustrating when it's 5 feet away and he's put his socks there, but just being like, you know what? Maybe his mom called him and he got busy. I would
Right,
also be
right.
distracted if Karen called me. I would be like, everything does not matter to me anymore. It's
Karen's
Karen
on the phone.
only. So it's kind of one of those where it's like, maybe something happened and he just got so
Mm-hmm.
busy. So just thinking, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being mad that he left it, be like, you know what? And of course it can get there's also a difference with that, and if they're doing it continuously,
Yeah,
even if like if they're sitting on the couch and it's like that, it's understandable to get frustrated at that. And that's when you
right,
need to
right.
have that conversation with them again
Yes.
and be like,
Mhm.
it's not that I don't underappreciate you, but I've noticed you've been doing this a lot more, and I just want to
Mhm.
understand why so that we're on the same page and see what we can
Right.
do to come up with a result where you're not just leaving your laundry everywhere, for an
Mhm.
example, or like why you're not doing the
Yeah.
dishes in a timely
Right.
manner, or like why you're not
Right.
cleaning the toilet.
Yeah.
What can we do? Because then that could also mean that they're back to our burnout conversation. They're burnout, but they're scared to tell you because they don't want you to view them as somebody who is incompetent or incapable of doing something. But it's like they could just be so mentally and physically exhausted that that extra 5 feet may genuinely just be too much
Mhm.
for them.
Now, see, that's where I think differently because you were so kind in your response, and I'm like, they think I'm their housekeeper. They think I'm here to serve them. I already do the laundry. Now I got to pick up your dirty socks and put them in the basket too. That's where my mind would go. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. You're being very kind. And what I need to do first is, wonder why they're getting lazy about picking up their socks. Wonder what's
Yeah, that
going
definitely
on with
goes back
that.
to that
Yeah,
generational where I'm
it
more like,
does.
is
Because
it your
I'm like,
mental health? Are you dying? What is
yeah,
happening? Where
right.
I feel like maybe you're
Or
kind of
are
like,
you just taking advantage of me
right.
because
That's
you're
why,
leaving them because I'll pick them up because it drives me
exactly.
crazy to see them laying there. So
Right, like,
yeah,
and it's not to say that them doing that is not a red flag by any means. They
you're
genuinely could be
right.
taking advantage of you. That's when you need to have that
Right.
conversation with
Yes.
them, and
Yes.
definitely read the room and read their body language when having that
Hmm.
conversation because make sure you're keeping in mind that they could, like, don't think that it's the only thing they're trying to do is take advantage of you, but don't let
Hmm.
that thought leave your mind.
Hmm.
After that
Right.
conversation, I always like anytime Adam and I have like a conversation like that, I always take time, just like maybe a half an hour to myself, just to think of the conversation that we had and compare it and see, is he taking advantage of me or not? Obviously, Adam
Hmm.
would not do that, but not everybody is an Adam. Some
Hmm.
people, men and women, like
Yeah.
just to
And
have
I think
somebody who does stuff for them. And
anybody can slip into that.
exactly.
It's easy, especially if that's just sort of part of the routine. And I will say, sometimes we teach people how to treat us.
Mhm.
So if I'm the person, he's always leaving his socks, or he's never doing the dishes, and instead of saying something where I think it might create an issue or an argument, I just do it.
Mhm.
And inside, I'm like frustrated and I'm like saying bad things in my head about him, but I
Mhm.
never verbalize it. I'm teaching him that it's okay to keep doing those things because I'm always
Absolutely.
going to be there to pick up the socks and do the dishes. So don't set yourself up. This kind of goes back to that, um, t- you know, loving yourself with your own love
Mhm.
language. Um,
Absolutely.
being kind to yourself and not allowing yourself to be taken advantage of
Mhm.
in those ways. Maybe they really are going through something, and I
Mhm.
love that you say that you kind of approach it objectively. Maybe there's another reason other than they're just being lazy that this is happening. So
Mhm.
you want to try to get to the bottom of that, and I think that's a
Absolutely.
great place to start.
Mhm.
But also take care of yourself and don't
Absolutely.
be the person that fixes everything and
Mhm.
just is constantly cleaning up and doing all the things, especially if it's something that you're starting to resent.
Mhm.
Maybe you love that. Maybe you all have an arrangement that he takes care of the yard and the outside stuff and the vehicles and you take care of the inside stuff. and
Mhm.
and if that's your agreement, that's fine. Like there's no shame in that. But if you're doing it all and he's not doing anything,
Absolutely.
maybe you've taught him or her that it's okay that they sit there and throw
Mhm.
their socks on the floor because you're right behind them picking it up. Same goes for your kids. We
Absolutely.
will definitely teach people how to treat us.
Mhm.
So just remember that. Set those boundaries early, so that you don't find yourself being very resentful for someone acting exactly the way we've taught them to treat us.
Exactly. For sure. Never ever, I know the way I approach conversations is a very healthy, very like whatever, but I never That's never the only way I approach it, you know. The reason I approach conversations like that, especially with Adam, is because I know Adam. I know
Mhm.
that 9 times out of 10, the reason why he's acting out is because there's something going on mentally.
Mhm.
But that goes back to not always knowing everybody's intention. So always, no matter
Mhm.
how kind you are in a conversation like that, never ever falter your boundaries, because at the end of the day, I tell this to every single person who is struggling with self love: you can only have your back. You can never
Mhm.
have anybody else's back. No matter how many is like, I got your back, whatever. Only you at the end of the day is the prime number one person who will have your back. And if you don't have your own back, you're going to open the door for people to walk all over you like that doormat
Mhm.
that they view you
Mhm.
as. So never
Mhm.
ever, never falter your kindness in those kind of conversations,
Mhm.
but never ever falter your boundaries as well.
Right.
Don't ever let somebody think and take your kindness as a weakness. Your kindness is not a
Mhm.
weakness when going into that conversation. So don't,
Mhm.
like, don't ever let somebody take advantage of how kind you are, and always hold those boundaries with
Right.
yourself, even if it is your partner or if it's a friend. You know,
Mhm.
I have a lot of friends who view me as the therapist friend because 9 times out of 10, I'm the number one person they go to for their mental health problems. Because I'm studying to become a therapist, I probably know how to fix it better than they do. But, I hold that boundary with them that, sometimes I don't want to be that therapist for you. I'm not getting
Mhm.
paid in this quote unquote
Mhm.
session in your mind. I'm not licensed. Although I love to help you, I hold that boundary where it's like, sometimes I don't want to be that for you. I just want to be your
Mhm.
friend. I just want to,
Right.
like, I want to talk about mindless stuff just as much as psychological stuff
Yeah.
with people. So it's holding that
Right.
boundary and letting people know, and having that self love for myself, and being like, although I'm
Mhm.
here for you and I love you and I want to help you find a result, it's not going to be me today. And you're going to have to find somebody else who can hold
Yeah.
that space for you, because it's not going to be
Mhm.
me. So definitely hold that
Yeah.
boundary and don't let them take that kindness of being there for them as
Right.
that advantage and weakness, because
Yeah.
it's never, being kind is not a weakness ever. But some
So,
people seem to
I
think
have
it
a
is.
quote for that.
I know.
I have
I, I love your
my little
quotes.
Pinterest quote. I wrote it down. You owe yourself the love that you freely give other people. You need to make sure that um, you are setting your boundaries and you give it to other people and show them kindness and love and respect. Make sure you're
Hmm.
doing the same thing for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Never ever let somebody disrespect you because they watched you disrespect yourself. You know,
that's right.
like, never
Yeah.
ever. And like, that's why I'm like, never ever like, don't ever disrespect yourself ever, because if people see you doing that, then they're going to be like, well, you let yourself get away with it, so what's one more
Hmm.
person?
Right.
And
Right.
that's when you set that boundary with yourself. And it's so
Yeah.
easy, it's so easy to let those thoughts creep in and let those
Hmm.
thoughts take over and all of that. But it can be just, it can feel just as hard as it is easy to let those thoughts leave. So definitely, just,
Hmm.
that's when you need to sit with yourself and journal in the wise words of Karen. Get your
Yeah.
affirmation journal out
That's right.
and
That's right.
read some of those entries are right,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes.
And don't ever write disrespectful things about yourself either, where you
Be
can go
kind to
back
yourself. Yes.
and read
Be
that and be like,
kind.
I was horrible today. No, be like, you know what? I was a human being today. And although I
Hmm.
faltered a little bit, I was able to pick myself back up, and
That's
I'm
right.
still here breathing and kicking.
Hmm. That's
So,
right. Yeah.
yeah. But,
Yeah. Um,
yeah.
so I have one just final um, point, I guess, to make, and that is focus on your role. And I know we've talked about this a little bit about making sure you do things from love and not for love.
Hmm.
Um, when we talk about love languages, so many times we're talking about what our love languages are and what is important to us.
Hmm.
That's what the quiz that you can take is for. Um, but focus on your role in the relationship
Absolutely.
and your role as the giver. Um, don't be the doormat,
Mm-mm.
but be the person that is working intentionally. to make your relationship better, to make it amazing, to make it
Mhm.
special. Make sure your partner knows that you love them, whether it's through one of their love languages or whether it's some other things that we talked about, like
Mhm.
making a promise without forgetting it, fulfilling the promise,
Absolutely.
making sure that there are actions to go with your words.
Mhm.
All of those things that we can focus on giving.
Absolutely, for sure. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to breathe. Oof. Um, I guess my final thought is to always be present and mindful. And to always remember that the love language of one person may not always be the love language of another. And that definitely falls more that falls for every person in your life, whether it be your romantic partner, your best friend, your friends, your family. Um, like my own mother, I'm pretty sure quality time is a love language of hers. She loves spending time with us. Um, Whereas I'm kind of more of like I need some space. I love spending time with you, girly, but definitely gotta do my own thing for a while. I'm definitely an independent girly. So definitely don't ever lose those boundaries and all that kind of stuff as well. And definitely, like I said, be mindful of your partner's love language. And remember, like I said, that even if your love languages are similar, you're not always going to express it the same way. And to
So true.
always remember that the way somebody's loving you is most likely the way they want to be loved.
Hmm.
And they're just trying to show it to you in the best way that they can. And all that kind of stuff. And also remember to
Yeah.
always hold that space for yourself. Like I said at the beginning, and I'm saying now, the best kind of Valentine love is self love. You can truly only
Hmm.
have yourself at the end of the day, no matter how many people tell you, I got your back, I love you.
Yeah.
You you may never feel that love because you haven't been able to find that love within yourself. So always
Right.
hold space for yourself and exploring not just your love language within your relationship, but your own personal love languages and how to take care of
Hmm.
yourself for sure.
Hmm.
And just always remember that at the end of the day, you are loved, even if it feels like some days you're not, and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah. I have one last note here. Make sure the love and confidence you receive doesn't just come from others. It has to come from you too. So
Absolutely.
we have tried to push that today.
Hmm.
It's great to be loved by someone else. It's even more important to be loved by ourselves.
Absolutely. And another really big thing, and this can go for yourself or for like a romantic or any kind of love, never keeps a score of wrongs. Love doesn't
Mm.
bring up past
Hmm.
failures. So don't ever fault yourself for not knowing somebody's
Hmm.
love language or even your own love language up until now. Don't ever let those failures consume you to the point that you never want to experience love for yourself or for somebody else ever
Right.
again, because love,
Yeah.
even though it's a word that people love to throw around, unfortunately, love is some of the most magical things I've ever personally
Hmm.
experienced. I know Karen mentioned it earlier. I never thought I could be loved the way Adam loves me.
Hmm.
Never thought it'd happen. Yet here I am, almost 6 years later, experiencing some of the most magical feelings I've ever had in my life. So,
Hmm.
and even just within myself, not even just within my own romantic, Adam
Hmm.
definitely showed me that it's okay to love myself unconditionally
Hmm.
and perfect and perfectly. So,
Right.
at the end of the day, just remember that you are loved and you deserve to love yourself. And that's what matters the most. Self
Hmm.
love is love, and that's on period.
Be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself, and the world will be kind to you. With that being
Well,
said, are we
yeah,
done? Are we
I
feeling we're
think
done?
so. I think so.
All right.
Um, Thanks for joining us today. As always,
Of
we
course.
love your comments. I do try to read them. A couple of you have made comments, and I think you enjoyed some of our embarrassing stories last week.
Oh, yes.
You're welcome. Glad we could help entertain you a bit. But
Yes.
a little bit of a heavier topic this week, and Catherine shared some. We both shared some personal experiences, and um, we do that because it's important, I think,
Mhm.
and it's not always easy to be vulnerable like that, but um, it's a lot of times how you connect to other people
Mhm.
and let them know that they're not alone and
Absolutely.
that other people, because sometimes we feel like we're the only person in the world that has experienced something
Mhm.
or has gone through something. And so I appreciate you, Kathryn, being open and vulnerable with those
Of
things
course.
that are, you know, sometimes things we like to just keep tucked away. So
Mhm.
it's, I'm sure, therapeutic for her as well, but also I know you do it because you want to make sure other people know they're not alone. So thank you
Absolutely.
for being open
Don't
like
make me
that.
cry. I almost cried earlier
I'm
today.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're totally
um,
fine.
we've talked, I think, a lot about our relationships because that's where we have obviously the most information. But
Mm.
feel free to share with us in comments. Ways that you express your love languages with your partner or anything that you heard today that maybe stuck with you and
Mhm.
was helpful to you. We would love to get your feedback from that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Say yes, absolutely. The biggest reason I'm extremely vulnerable is to show people that you can be vulnerable and strong. Um, I will never not tell people my story. I do it purely because I want people to know they are never ever alone, and I feel like that's another reason why you also share your stories is to prove to people even at your age that you're never alone, because I know a lot of that generation, I know we talked about generations kind of throughout this conversation,
Mm-hmm.
I know your generation definitely feels isolated and
Mm-hmm.
can definitely feel very taboo when they start like talking about mental health and stuff. So I feel like you're
Right.
also having that generational like speaker of the sense of like you're showing people in your own age range being like it's still okay to talk about your mental health. We may
Yeah.
be in our 50s and our 60s and our
Mm-hmm.
40s, but we're still allowed to talk about what upsets us and
Mm-hmm.
what's going on in our head. And I purely appreciate the fact that you're willing to be so open and talk about those struggles that you had as a child and the struggles you're still facing even as somebody in beautiful, graceful ages of the older generation. We both, at the end of the day, we both have the same intention and same one, and it's to let everybody who is listening to this know they're never alone, to know
Right.
that it's
Right.
okay to feel isolated in your situations, but it's also okay to step out of that isolation and to reach out. Our DMs,
Mm-hmm.
we can't fix everything, but we're always willing to listen. So if you know
Mm-hmm.
me personally, even if you don't know me completely personally, know that my personal DMs are always open if you're like, I have nobody to turn to and I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I may not be able to fix it, but I can at least help you figure out where you need to go. Yeah.
And if anyone wants to reach out to me, I am on Instagram. If you reach out to Kathryn, she can get you in touch with me. I
Karen.
have absolutely no credentials behind my name that makes me. Um,
Girl, same.
I'm not, yeah, not a professional counselor, but have just been down some long and winding roads, and
Hmm.
um, I think I'm doing okay at the moment, but that could
I
change
think
tomorrow.
you are
So,
too.
I think if anything I said, if you want to talk to me, is my point. Just
Hmm.
let Kathryn know, and she can get in. She can let me know that we could get in touch. Um, just to
Absolutely.
talk through some things. We've said this before. I kind of bring the mom perspective and that little bit of
She's a
older
great mom.
generation perspective. Thank you. To people. So if
Hmm.
you need a mom, I'm here for you,
Saying if you need
or
a
a
big
friend.
sister, I got you. I say no. Ultimately, you're never alone, and we're always here to listen. Even if you just want to leave a comment down on our YouTube video,
Yeah,
just being like, "This is what's going on in my life," and I would love to hear you
yeah.
talk about it.
Hmm.
Would absolutely love for you to
Yes.
let us know what you may have on your mind and something that's been weighing heavy
Hmm.
on your heart. We love to hear
Hmm.
topic ideas from you guys for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. Or you can even DM us on our Instagram, our Coffee with Milk
Hmm.
Instagram, and be like, you guys are
Definitely.
somebody I feel comfortable, addressing this issue and would love to see your thoughts and all that. We would love to discuss it on our podcast for sure. With that being said, I have some exciting news. Google finally emailed and we are verified to use our description box. Google
Yay.
finally said, you know what, you've been posting enough, it's time. So we have officially been verified. So our description boxes are officially live and running, so definitely go
Yay.
check those out in our previous videos and you will see them in our future videos. If you haven't already and you absolutely would love to join our community, we would love to have you, so definitely hit that subscribe button down below, as well as hitting that notification bell so you can be notified every time we post in either a video, a short, or even like a little community tab. Also, definitely give the video a like and share it with some friends you think you might resonate and are probably struggling with finding their love language. You know, maybe coming here will kind of open their eyes and be like, you know, either I deserve better or I deserve to love myself, or, you know, maybe it's time I have a conversation with my significant other about what's going on and what my needs and wants are. Or just figuring yourself out kind of thing. And also
Because we're
definitely
still figuring ourselves out too.
I'm definitely
Even
still
at my
figuring
age.
myself,
Yeah.
literally. And like we
Oh,
said previously, leave us a comment down below of, you know, some topic ideas you definitely would love to see come from us, as well as what your love languages are, and maybe also give some recommendations that you didn't see within our video that you think some people would benefit from. Even we
yeah,
might potentially
most
benefit from
definitely.
some ideas that you have. So don't ever hesitate
Yep.
to leave ideas that you've seen benefit yourself. Our comments are always open for that kind of discussion and all that. With that being said,
Right.
as well, like I said, check out our description box. Our Instagram is down in there, and I will potentially be leaving my private Instagram or my personal Instagram as well. It's not private, it's public, but for you, if you aren't comfortable reaching out to the Coffee with Milk and you just want to reach out to me personally, definitely don't ever hesitate. That was a mouthful. I
Whew.
feel
I
like
need to
I'm
take a breath, and I wasn't even talking.
with that being
What's the
said,
sneeze status? Are we? Are
it's
we
gone.
gonna
She's
sneeze
gone.
now? Okay,
She
good.
left.
All
She
right,
left
good.
a while
Okay.
ago. But
Okay.
with that being said, everybody, this has been Coffee with Milk, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Don't ever forget to love yourselves. Have a great day. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy late
Yeah.
Valentine's Day.
Hope it was a good
I
one.
hope it was a great one for sure. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Bye, guys.